Now, the extremely fierce counterstrike on the part of Israel has not gone down well with some of its critics. Now, the Canadian Prime Minister, Mr. Justin Trudeau, criticized Israel and said that the killing of women and children and of babies has to stop. Responding sharply to Trudeau's claims, the Israeli Prime Minister, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, said that this is Hamas and not Israel that ought to be held accountable. Netanyahu also claimed that Israel is doing its best to prevent civilian casualties. Now, Israel also found support of the United States in its claims against Hamas. John Kirby, a spokesman for the National Security Council, said that intelligence from US-generated sources supported Israel's claim that Hamas has tunnels under the Al-Shifa hospital, among other hospitals.
I can confirm for you that we have information that Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad use some hospitals in the Gaza Strip, including Al-Shifa, and tunnels underneath them to conceal and to support their military operations and to hold hostages. Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, PIJ, members operate a command and control node from Al-Shifa in Gaza City. They have stored weapons there, and they're prepared to respond to an Israeli military operation against that facility. Now, to be clear, we do not support striking a hospital from the air. And we do not want to see a firefight in a hospital where innocent people, helpless people, sick people are simply trying to get the medical care that they deserve, not to be caught in a crossfire. Hospitals and patients must be protected.
Now, Israel's actions, specifically those targeting medical infrastructure, have drawn a lot of outrage from Doctors Without Borders, the United Nations, Amnesty International, among other groups. Now, in the last 1 month, several hospitals have been in the Israeli army's crosshairs. The IDF says that this is because hospitals are being used as fronts by the Hamas. Now, these include the Rantisi Children's Hospital, where Israel claims to have unearthed tunnels as well as underground chambers where weapons and getaway vehicles were stored, and even people had been held there as hostages. Then there's the Shifa Hospital in the north, where the IDF claims that Hamas has built its control center, hosting the organization's leadership as well. They also released a 3D animation graphic to this effect, which they claim was based on intelligence. Last week, this particular area also saw heavy fighting outside the Al-Quds hospital, in which 21 people had been killed. Israel claims that those killed were Hamas terrorists who are firing at Israeli soldiers from within as well as around the hospital. In fact, they've also now released a video showing a man firing an RPG at Israeli soldiers from the entrance of the hospital and then subsequently running inside. The US State Department spokesperson, when specifically asked if he had evidence that Hamas was using hospitals as command centers, actually answered in the affirmative. Matthew Miller also called out those who put the onus of ceasefire entirely on Israel.
As a general matter, yes, we do know that Hamas uses hospitals, right. And there is plenty of public reporting about this. You can read about it in the press, using hospitals as command centers.
Let me rephrase my question. Does the United States have any evidence that Hamas is using this particular hospital or the other hospital as command posts?
With respect to a general matter, I will say yes, we do. With respect to a specific hospital, I'm not going to get into intelligence matter. We would love to see all the people that are calling for Israel to take steps to protect hospitals call for Hamas to vacate the hospitals and stop using civilians as human shields. We would love to see Hamas take some of the fuel reserves it's sitting on and use that to supply hospitals in northern Gaza. We would love to see Hamas have taken the fuel that Israel offered it yesterday that they declined for use at Al-Shifa Hospital. So it's a very difficult situation, and I would say as a principle, I'll just restate what I said at the top, is we do not want to see civilians caught in the crossfire.
We'll slip into a short break right now, but we'll continue our coverage on the other side. Stay tuned.